What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports Dude Hine Show. Today is October 7th, 2021, and on today's video, I have multiple topics to talk about. Stephon Gilmore being traded to the Carolina Panthers, Jaylon Smith signing with the Green Bay Packers, and Jaylon Smith getting cut by the Cowboys in a shocking move. Some of our NFL picks this week. I want to maybe talk a little about AEW Dynamite from last night, and also be joined by Tony Gaza here in just a little bit. And we'll start off with the surprising, trade with Stephon Gilmore being traded to the Carolina Panthers. This trade really came out of nowhere. Stephon Gilmore has yet to play a game this year. He's been on the PUP list for the New England Patriots. Gilmore is one of the best corners in the NFL. This was just a strange and just out of the blue move for the New England Patriots and the Carolina Panthers. Stephon Gilmore at the end of the season, he is a free agent, so I feel like that had a big part of this trade. There was rumors heading into the year that there could have been a trade before the season started, or maybe, they had an extension possibly. That was obviously not the case. Like I said, Gilmore has yet to play for the Patriots this season with him being on the PUP list. But, with him out, their defense hasn't really been horrible. They held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to under, I believe, 20 points this past Sunday night in a great game with Brady's return to New England. So even when, Gilmore's absence on this New England defense, they played pretty well. Even look at last year, for example, another corner for New England, J.C. Jackson, actually led the NFL in interceptions last season. So, obviously losing Gilmore, that's going to be a huge drop-off in production in the secondary for New England because Gilmore is one of the better corners in the NFL. But they traded him to the Carolina Panthers. But the interesting part is it was originally announced he was cut. And then shortly after, about an hour or so, it seemed like later, it was announced that he was traded to the Panthers for a 2023 sixth-round pick. And like I mentioned before, Stephon Gilmore's contract ends at the end of the year. And if you are a playoff team or if you are a Super Bowl contender, there is no reason you should not be making this move right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have made this move. The Green Bay Packers, I know have very, very limited cap space, but they should have tried to figure out a way to try to make this move because their secondary is very inconsistent, especially with Jair Alexander out with injury right now. And there's other teams, the Chiefs, they can use some help in the secondary. Just multiple other teams who are, Super Bowl contenders who could be making this. And then you have the Carolina Panthers, who are 3-1 and definitely one of the most surprising teams in the NFL right now. They played a good game despite losing to the Dallas Cowboys. They're 3-1 on the year. That was their only loss so far. And you look at this Panthers team, Sam Darnold is obviously playing the best football of his life right now. Christian McCaffrey is out with the injury, and they're still playing some really good football. They have some of the best young receivers, up-and-coming receivers in the league. Robbie Anderson hasn't really done much this year, but I think he's going to break out at some point. DJ Moore's the most underrated receiver in the NFL. Terrace Marshall Jr. is going to be a very good receiver in the league for years to come. And, they have some tight ends like Tommy Tremble. And their offensive line isn't bad. Their defense, they have Derek Brown on defensive line, Jeremy Chin, who would have been Rookie of the Year last year on defense if it wasn't for Chase Young. And, you look at this Panthers secondary. They traded to get Stephon Gilmore. Last week, they traded to get the 9th overall pick in last year's draft and C.J. Henderson. And they absolutely robbed the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you have a top 10 pick this year in a corner in J.C. Horn. Stephon Gilmore is a top 5 corner in the league. J.C. Horn's going to be a very good corner. C.J. Henderson, the Jacksonville Jaguars just gave up on him. And, the Panthers saw that Henderson had lots of potential and promise. This secondary is absolutely phenomenal right now. And it's interesting because, trading a 2023 sixth-round pick to the New England Patriots, there is a chance Gilmore might not re-sign with the Carolina Panthers. But, this makes the Panthers, in my opinion, I said a week or two ago I thought they were a playoff team. I feel pretty confident saying that because I didn't expect them to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't expect the game to be close. But, looking at this game, they have a nice secondary. They have some nice offensive weapons. I really fully believe this Panthers team will be in the playoffs. And I mean, you look at it; they have one of the more underrated rosters, in my opinion, in the NFL. Like I already mentioned, it's very interesting. I mean, they are making Super Bowl type moves. I mean, getting C.J. Henderson, getting Stephon Gilmore. If this team was more experienced, and if they've been in the postseason before, I don't think it would be that crazy to say that the Carolina Panthers are Super Bowl contenders. I know lots of people say that they aren't, which I really don't think they are. I think they're capable of maybe getting a possible playoff upset one, depending who it's against. I see Panthers fans say that they will be possible Super Bowl contenders. I don't see that happening, but I do see the Panthers being in the playoffs after they continue to make these very, very impressive moves. Matt Rule, I feel like, in my opinion, right now, he's definitely towards the top when it comes to Coach of the Year. He's 3-1. He's made some great moves, getting Henderson, getting Stephon Gilmore. I mean, his team is playing fantastic right now. One of the most underrated teams, in my opinion, in the league. This Panthers team is going to be fun to watch. And if they would somehow re-sign Stephon Gilmore once his contract expires at the end of the season, then all of a sudden, I mean, we're looking at a Panthers team who could be very, very, very good for the next several seasons. So kind of, switching gears, let's see here, to, let's stay on the NFL track. It's interesting, with all these moves, with Jaylon Smith, him being cut by the Dallas Cowboys was just very, very surprising. I really don't feel like anybody expected that to happen. If you go back and watch some of the games, Jaylon Smith really underperformed the last several years, but I just don't really expect anybody for him to play that bad. It's just really crazy. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But we'll talk about AEW. Yesterday was AEW Dynamite. And they kind of had like the, ladder match and everything. And, whoever won the match got a championship opportunity against Kenny Omega. And they had one Joker spot, which meant that it's a surprise entrance. And, it was the last person in the match. And the surprise entrance, the Joker, ended up being Adam Hangman Page. And it was very surprising to pretty much absolutely nobody, in my opinion. Hangman Adam Page, I feel like everybody expected this to happen. I know lots of people like this. I'm not going to lie, I just really did not like it. I feel like this storyline with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page has been evident from the very beginning. I mean, you look at last year, when they were no longer a tag team and everything like that, and then they had the tournament, whoever would fight Moxley to face him for the championship. Omega ended up, fighting Adam Hangman Page, and, Omega ended up winning, and that was around a year ago, and you could tell that it was obvious that it was going to be Omega and Hangman Page, and Hangman, after Omega title reign, it was going to be Hangman Page who would defeat Omega. It's been evident for a very, very long time. I know lots of people are excited. I know lots of people love Hangman Page. I don't dislike him, but to me, I feel like out of the three people who have had the AEW World Championship so far, with Chris Jericho, Moxley, and Kenny Omega, I feel like Hangman Page is definitely the least probably entertaining out of those people I mentioned. Hangman Page, his title reign hasn't even started yet, but I'll kind of be glad when it's over. I'm really, really intrigued, though, when they eventually give the title to MJF. I think that'll be very interesting because MJF and Hangman Page, I feel like that's going to be a storyline as well. I feel like once Hangman Page beats Omega, the next person in line to win a title will be MJF. And then possibly it could be CM Punk. I think that's a possibility. But it's interesting. I don't really know how to, I feel about it. I feel like it's kind of too obvious. There was lots of people talking about it. Could have been Bray Wyatt or, Will Ospreay even. A couple of different people. Buddy Murphy from the WWE. The list goes on and on. But it was kind of annoying and aggravating when it's somebody in your own company in AEW. Let's see here. So we'll talk about the Jaylon Smith. We'll talk about the Jaylon Smith signing with the Green Bay Packers, and this was just a very head scratcher going back, back to the NFL. And you look at the, Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, Jaylon Smith, he is very inconsistent the past year or so, and they have a great linebacker core. At the time they had him, Van Der Esch. They drafted Jabril Cox. They drafted Micah Parsons, and it's interesting because when they drafted Michael Parsons, that was already a surprise. And then they ended up drafting Jabril Cox, a LSU linebacker, in the later rounds. And it seemed like the intentions were that they were not going to sign Van Der Esch. So their linebacker trio would have been, Jaylon Smith, Michael Parsons, and Jabril Cox. And they also lost Sean Lee in the offseason due to him retiring. So with Van Der Esch, the intentions of him probably not going to re-sign. This was even more surprising in my opinion. Van Der Esch is a very good linebacker when he can stay healthy. But you look at Jaylon Smith, he's just not been able to be consistent the past year or so. But despite him not playing great, this does not make any sense in my opinion. You look at Jaylon Smith. The next 2 seasons, the Dallas Cowboys will have $16.6 million in dead cap space. At that standpoint, I just don't get why you would not keep him. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You're paying over $8 million per season, the next basically a little over a year and a half, with this year and next year combined. Why would you cut him right now? I know the Dallas Cowboys defense is very, very high on, Keanu Neal. Dan Quinn has experience with Keanu Neal playing in Atlanta, but this just does not make enough sense to me. I don't think Keanu Neal is on a big contract. I think it's only a 1-year deal, so you don't know if you're going to end up re-signing him. I feel like it's a little bit too early. At the end of the season, I think it's more, appropriate, and it makes more sense if Dallas, would end up releasing Jaylon Smith. But right now, we're only 4 games into the season. If Keanu Neal or, Micah Parsons or Jabril Cox goes down, then all of a sudden, you're going to really wish that you have not released Jaylon Smith. And like I said, it just still does not make much sense to me. I feel like this was kind of too early. At the end of the year, I think it would have made a lot more sense, especially if you're able to, extend Keanu Neal's contract, because, they're very, very high on him right now. But kind of head scratcher. And, Jaylon Smith ended up signing with the Green Bay Packers. This was a interesting pick here, him going to Green Bay. I think it makes a lot of sense. Their head coach, Matt LaFleur, was at Notre Dame during Jaylon Smith when he was with the Fighting Irish. And you look at the Green Bay Packers, ever since they lost Blake Martinez a couple years ago in free agency, I didn't really think they've been able to find, that linebacker, their linebacker, their main guy on defense. And, I've said it before, I still stand by it. When the Packers traded up to get Jordan Love, my initial reaction was they were going to get Patrick Queen, the LSU linebacker, who at the time was probably the best linebacker available. And it just made a lot of sense because, they lost Blake Martinez in that free agency. They're going to get their linebacker in the future. Obviously, that does not happen. They draft Jordan Love and, all the drama there and everything like that. So, you get Jaylon Smith instead, which, Jaylon Smith, I believe they're only paying him $770,000 this season. And he's getting paid $7 million from the Cowboys due to the dead cap space or something like that. So I feel like this was a fantastic signing for Green Bay. And like I said with Stephon Gilmore, I feel like a playoff contender especially, but more importantly, a Super Bowl contender needs to be getting Gilmore, needs to be getting Jaylon Smith. And that's exactly what the Green Bay Packers did. Like I said earlier, with the Packers not getting Stephon Gilmore, they do not have a lot of cap space. And that's part of the reason why they did not get Gilmore. But with, Jaylon Smith, like I said, they're only paying $770,000. And he's getting the other money from the Dallas Cowboys contract. It really works out for the Packers here so much. Their defense is good, but it can be inconsistent at times. Since they struck out on Stephon Gilmore, they did hit that home run here, getting Jaylon Smith, a fantastic signing by the Green Bay Packers. This really helps their defense, and this is a championship type move. This is the move you have to make, especially if you're the Green Bay Packers, knowing that this is more than likely Aaron Rodgers' last season, and who knows, maybe Devontae Adams. It's very early to tell with him. But, Rodgers is pretty much done at Green Bay after this year. You're trying to give him all the pieces he can at this point. regardless of it's on offense or defense, trying to make your team better. That's exactly what they did, and Jaylon Smith. And this will really help the Green Bay Packers down the road. And maybe, moves like this could maybe help want Aaron Rodgers to maybe end up staying in Green Bay. Who knows, but it'll be very, very interesting. As we continue here, we'll kind of go to the, speaking of the Green Bay Packers and the, my favorite team is the Cincinnati Bengals. If you know that, if you've seen my videos before, my favorite team is the Bengals. So this week, the Packers take on the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is a very interesting matchup. Both these teams head into the Week 5 going at 3-1. The Packers' only losses to the New Orleans Saints, and the Cincinnati Bengals' only losses to the Chicago Bears. And you look at this game here, this is a very intriguing one, and I don't think it's that crazy to say there's a possible upset alert here. It's likely that safety Jesse Bates and wide receiver T. Higgins are expected to play. It's still very questionable with, star running back Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has been phenomenal this year, top 5 in rushing yards. And, this Bengals offense, we really got going the second half against that Jaguars game. We have tons of momentum in the home game against the Green Bay Packers. And, you look at the Packers, they've won a couple games in a row. I just don't know about this game. I feel like this game could go either way. And, like I said earlier, Jair Alexander, the star corner for the Green Bay Packers, he will not be playing this game, I don't believe. So I feel like the Bengals can maybe take some, advantages of, the Green Bay Packers, disadvantages. With Jair Alexander, obviously the best corner and best player in their secondary. If T. Higgins plays, who can you stop if you're the Green Bay Packers? You have Tyler Boyd, who had 118 receiving yards last week. Jamar Chase, he's obviously going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not trying to be biased, but you look at the stats, it's not even comparable to any other offensive rookie. And, with T. Higgins, all three of these wide receivers are on pace to get over 1,000 yards. So, if you have Alexander out, that really helps the Bengals. My main issue is the play calling for the Bengals. For instance, last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals' first half, we played like crap. We looked like the worst team in the NFL. Zach Taylor was outcoached by Urban Meyer, who is very questionable. I don't get how he still has a job at this point. But you look at the second half, we really got it going. There were some great play calls. I feel like the key factors of this game for the Bengals is consistent offensive line play. The past couple of weeks, our offensive lines played pretty decent. I believe we've only gave up 1 sack. And consistent play calling. I feel like that is those two things, the only things, in my opinion, that's holding us back to scoring, 27 or 30 points every single game. Because our play calling at times, it is phenomenal. Other times, it is freaking horrible. So I feel like if we can, be more consistent and play 4 quarters of good football, I think we're very capable of having a major, major upset against the Green Bay Packers. With Aaron Rodgers, it's always hard to stop one of the best quarterbacks of all time. We'll see. But as of right now, I will probably take the Packers in this one. And it's interesting, though. It's kind of reverse psychology. Every single time I've picked the Bengals to lose this year, they've ended up winning. So hopefully I'm wrong again. But overall, I'll take that any day if the Bengals can pull off the major, major upset victory here against the Green Bay Packers. And I feel like, if we were able to win this game, we're going to get lots more, media recognition, and people will start taking us more seriously. We would be 4-1 and be first place in the AFC North. It's crazy that we're not getting enough media recognition like we are right now. We really should be getting more, in my opinion. So as we kind of go to the NFL picks here, there's lots of intriguing matchups this week in the NFL. Let's see here. There is Thursday Night Football is tonight. The Rams take on the Seattle Seahawks. This is an interesting one. I had the Seahawks losing last week to the 49ers, and obviously they ended up winning. With Jimmy Garoppolo getting hurt and Trey Lance coming in playing absolutely phenomenal. And then I also had the Rams winning last week, and they got humiliated against the Arizona Cardinals, who look like the best team in the NFL right now. So, I feel like the Rams are going to come back. You look at Sean McVay and the Rams. They normally don't lose 2 games in a row. And this Rams team is just overall better roster than the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take the Rams here in this one on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully this will be a good game because you really look at the Thursday Night Football matchup so far. I believe every single game has been one possession except for the Panthers and Texans game. So don't be surprised if a very, very good game just comes down to the final few plays of the game. The first Sunday game is actually in London with the Jets taking on the Falcons. The Jets got their first win this past week, and they upset win against the Tennessee Titans. Zach Wilson finally proved people that he is capable of being a very good quarterback and really shutting up the stupid people who call him a bust for whatever reason. And he's with the Atlanta Falcons. They clearly are one of the worst teams in the league. They ended up losing to the Washington football team last week. I don't know if this would be an upset or not. I really don't know who's picked to win this game. I'm going to take the Jets here. Calvin Ridley is not playing. I feel like that's going to be a huge, downfall for this Atlanta offense. Kyle Pitts has not been involved that people thought he would so far. Wouldn't be surprised if Pitts gets some more targets and maybe some more receptions. But I feel like this Jets team, they got their first one of the season, coming in with some momentum and some confidence, going into a different country. I think they're going to pull off a victory here against the Atlanta Falcons to get their second one of the year. Like I kind of talked about earlier, the Packers and the Bengals, this is very, very close. I feel like this has potential to be the game of the week. You look at Aaron Rodgers, he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And, defensive tackle for the Bengals, Mike Daniels has, compared Joe Burrow to Aaron Rodgers, which, obviously that is kind of crazy to, hear. But when a guy who's been with Rodgers for multiple seasons, and, he compares Burrow to Rodgers, that's really some high praise. One of the quarterbacks who's kind of towards the end of his career to one of the quarterbacks who's just breaking into the NFL. This should be a fantastic game. Very close. I'm going to have the Packers winning this one 31-27. I would not be shocked if all the Bengals won. But if the Bengals win, people need to start talking about them as a serious threat in the playoffs, not just in the division, but in the playoffs itself. The Detroit Lions going up against the Minnesota Vikings. I believe the Minnesota Vikings are 1-3. Looking at all three of their losses, they are all by one possession. My two surprise teams heading into the year, I had multiple ones, about 4 or 5, but my top two were the Panthers, who are 3-1, and the Vikings, who are 1-3. But all three of their losses, like I said, are by one possession. They could easily be maybe 3-1, 4-0, something like that right now. They really one of the worst rosters in the NFL, but I feel like give them a year or two, and I feel like they have some potential. I feel like Dan Campbell is not doing a bad job at all, despite them not having a win so far. I feel like the Lions, I feel like they might put up a fight, but ultimately I have Minnesota winning this one. This game here is very interesting. The Denver Broncos taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you look at it, Denver's 3-1. They just had their first loss against Baltimore. The Steelers are 1-3, and I've tried to tell people the whole offseason the Steelers are so overrated and without a doubt the worst team in the AFC North. And apparently, they are good according to Sports Illustrated. The Steelers are 19th in Sports Illustrated's rankings, while the Bengals, who are 3-1 and one of the more underrated teams in the league, are 24. That just makes no sense to me. Really proves that, no matter what, the Steelers will always get recognition, even when they shouldn't. But this is a very interesting game. I don't think it's been announced that who will be the starter for Denver, but this being in Pittsburgh, I kind of have to get the advantage of Pittsburgh here. Denver has the pieces, on offense, but, some of their players are injured. I'm probably going to have to take the Steelers here. I don't want to, but I guess I have to here. And as we continue here, the Dolphins take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers easy. Wouldn't be surprised if they won by 14 plus. The Saints taking on the Washington football team. This is an interesting one. I'm going to take an upset here. I don't know if it's an upset, but the Saints over the Washington football team. Washington's defense has been underachieving this year so much. Winston's been inconsistent at times, but I feel like they were going to, be able to score more points than Washington's inconsistent offense. Carolina and the Eagles, that's the easy one. I feel like the Eagles are one of the worst teams in the league. Carolina is one of the more underrated ones at 1-3, going up against a 3-1. Carolina, and that one easy. The Tennessee Titans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking at this game, the Titans lost the game that they should not. I feel like they're going to come back, kind of ticked off. They lost the game that they should not have. And you look at the Jaguars, they're going to be 0-5 and really continuing the trend and really helping Urban Meyer's case that he should be fired already. The Patriots taking on the Houston Texans. The spread of this game is 10, and it's not a lot of times you see the NFL spreads, double digits. But it's one of those games where there's few exceptions. And you look at the Houston Texans last week, they lost 40-0 against the Buffalo Bills. You look at the New England Patriots, they lost a heartbreaker to Tom Brady's return game on Sunday Night Football. You look at Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks, he's 22-6. You look at the Patriots game just a couple weeks ago against Zach Wilson. I believe Wilson threw multiple interceptions. This is going to be the biggest blowout of this game, of this week, excuse me. I feel very, very, very confident it will be. Long day for the Houston offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they got shut out again. They were shut out last week. Wouldn't be surprised one bit if they were shut out, especially if Davis Mills is the quarterback for the Houston Texans this week. Patriots, easy that one. That's probably, of all the games, I feel the most confident in. There's no chance that Patriots lose this game. The Bears against the Raiders. Interesting game here. Matt Nagy announced that Justin Fields will be the starter for the Bears this week. And the Raiders lost their first game against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I'm going to take the Raiders here. The Raiders offense that really didn't get anything going the majority of the game on Monday night. This Bears offense and this defense is very inconsistent at times. It's very, very hard to me to pick some of these rookie quarterbacks against good teams and even at times bad teams, especially with Justin Fields, who has been inconsistent. I feel like people are slightly overrating him. I'm going to take the Raiders here against Chicago, and with this win, the Raiders will improve to 4-1. I feel like this has potential to be the game of the week here. The Browns taking on the LA Chargers. Browns are definitely one of the most overrated teams, in my opinion, so far. I'm not saying that because I'm a Bengals fan. I'm saying that, honestly, I don't see them, being what people expected them to be. Heading into the year, I had the Browns in the Super Bowl against the Rams. I don't think the Browns are for sure even going to beat the Bengals or for sure even going to beat the Ravens. Baker Mayfield has played absolutely horrible so far. I believe he's only had 2 or 4 passing touchdowns, something like that. And they're really relying more on the run game than Mayfield, passing, because I don't think, Mayfield is all of that and everything. Justin Herbert's, he's played, I believe, 19 NFL games as a starter. And, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert is what people wish Mayfield was like. Joe Burrow, same thing. Burrow's played, not even 15 NFL regular season games. But Joe Burrow is what, the Browns fans wish Mayfield was like. Mayfield's never going to be Burrow or Herbert because, Burrow and Herbert are a billion times better than Mayfield. It's not even debatable. Mayfield can barely help the Browns get a win despite having one of the best rosters in the league. This game being in LA, Herbert is on a tear right now. He's one of the top MVP candidates. I'm going to take the Chargers here. I don't know if it's an upset or not, but, they don't have a better roster, but they have a better quarterback. And 75% of the time, whoever wins the game has a better quarterback. And the Browns are just, despite having a good record, I feel like their record's kind of deceiving. I'm going to take the Chargers here against the Browns. Giants and Cowboys. The Giants have looked absolutely horrendous. The Cowboys have been pretty surprising considering how good Dak Prescott has played so far. Cowboys easy in this one. Home victory in Dallas. The 49ers against the Cardinals. This is very intriguing. I believe Trey Lance will be playing this game. And the Cardinals right now are like the best team in the league. I'm very excited to see how Trey Lance performs against the, Arizona's defense, who only gave up 20 points against this Rams team last week. It's too hard to me to pick the 49ers here. I know Trey Lance played absolutely phenomenal against Seattle, but the Cardinals are the best team in the NFL right now. I just cannot pick a rookie quarterback who has played half a good game going up against the best team in the league. Should be a very fun game to watch, but I have the Cardinals winning this one. The Bills and the Chiefs, very interesting one. Ever since the Bills lost week 1 to Pittsburgh, I still have no idea how they lost that game. They have been absolutely, dominating teams. The Chiefs look extremely overrated, in my opinion. They're 2-2. If it wasn't for a messed up, snap on a fumble, they would have lost to the Cleveland Browns. And they still gave up 30 points against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know it was a garbage time touchdown with like 30 seconds left, but you should never be giving up 30 points against a horrible team like the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Bills in this one. I know this is an arrowhead, but the Bills have revenge in their mind from last year's postseason game. I'm going to take Josh Allen and the Bills over the Kansas City Chiefs and an upset here in Saturday Night Football. Monday Night Football, the Indianapolis Colts go against the Baltimore Ravens. I just do not see the Colts winning this game. Carson Wentz has looked so inconsistent when he's been able to stay healthy. I mean, he's not been able to stay healthy often. But I don't see this game being close at all, honestly. I feel like the Ravens are slightly overrated. You look at the Colts, heading into the season, I thought they were going to win the AFC South pretty confidently. After this loss here, they're going to be 1-4. And not only, there's no chance they will end up winning their own division, but I mean, if you start 1-4, the odds of you being in the playoffs are just drastically low. Very, very bad season so far for Indianapolis. And with the, recent news of Quentin Nelson going to be out a while, this would be a long day for the Indianapolis Colts. Honestly, don't be surprised if Carson Wentz were to get injured in this game again. With him getting sacked, a decent amount, their offensive line being inconsistent, with how good Baltimore's defense is, easy win here for the Baltimore Ravens. So that was kind of my picks for some of the games this week. Kind of talked about Stephon Gilmore being traded to the Carolina Panthers, and that the Panthers are easily one of the most underrated teams in the NFL right now. Jaylon Smith signing with the Green Bay Packers, and a very fantastic pickup for Green Bay. Briefly talking about AEW Dynamite and Adam Hangman Page winning the ladder match to go up against Kenny Omega. And I also make my picks for the week in the NFL. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all next time on the Sports 200 Show.